going to call this meeting to order at 3:01. This is a meeting of the Ohio Groundwater Management Agency Board of Directors. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, call the roll.
Director Ayala? Here. Director Daddy?
Yes.
Director Felke?
Here.
Chair Hayes?
Here. Okay, director announcements or comments? Emily?
I have nothing.
Bob?
None here.
Peter?
When's it gonna stop raining and we can make some money?
Yeah, I know. When's the sun going to come out?
No, I
That's why I've always said, it's the only business where your product falls from the sky periodically for free. It's not a good business. The Lake Casitas is spilling, started spilling on Tuesday. It's just kind of a dribble right now, but hopefully sun will come out and it'll kind of level out, so. Okay, general manager comments.
Good afternoon. I'll just add a little bit to that. I was out at the spillway yesterday and today. I actually walked up and down it twice with the Bureau for their annual or their every 6-year inspection. And we did stop diverting at the Robles facility on Monday. I think it was late Monday. No, was it Tuesday morning? Tuesday morning sounds better. So there is still a dribble over it. It all depends obviously on the weather and the natural flow into the creek and the demand. And there isn't much demand.
No.
So then in the afternoon when the wind picks up, it sloshes even a little bit more. So it's really interesting to see. Other than that, let's see, the first quarter statements went out at the end of March and they've been trickling in with checks. That's the new statements with the increase in the GSP officially going into effect January 1st. CC has had some people call with questions about it, but it's kind of the normal load of questions that usually come in, and as well as the same mistakes people make on the statements. So that's probably just going to be normal until we get meters and can read them ourselves. The only other thing, let's see, was you guys probably saw DWR's determination of the inadequacy of some of the groundwater sustainability plans, like the Tulare Basin, and now the state board is kind of taking over for those. So that'll be an interesting process, I think, to watch and how that affects those basins. I'm very grateful that ours plan was deemed adequate and we can just move forward, and we're not in that position. I was on vacation and then I was sick, so I don't have a lot else to report on.
You know, I think it's important that people look at what would have happened if we failed to do a GSP that would have been approved. I mean, if the state comes in, they have no sympathy whatsoever for the condition of our economy or anything here, so they would simply collect the money to cover the costs. So I think it's, I think the people that worked on it and spent the time to make it work and make it so far as economical as possible really deserve some credit. And for those out there that are not paying their fees, I think they should take caution, because there are going to be mechanisms to collect it, and it may not be fun. So anyway, that's all you had, Julia?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, the next item is Jordan's Basin Report. You there, Jordan?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, very good. I do not have a screen to share, so this will strictly be a verbal report today. And if there were a title, it would be my new favorite slogan that comes to us courtesy of the U.S. Geological Survey on their water dashboard. And the phrase is much above normal for this day of year. And it's very simple, a very simple concept, of course. But I realized that as I was checking on that website about a week and a half ago in preparation for a certain field trip that some of us all took throughout the watershed, but much above normal for this day of year. And the place I saw that was at the gauge on the dashboard at Casitas Vista Bridge, where as of this afternoon we have 218 cubic feet per second flowing in the Ventura River along that. I'll circle back to what that means for us, but I wanted to start with that. Much above normal for this day of year. But of course, much above normal starts with the precipitation. We're at 28.76 inches season to date, or year to date, on the valley floor. We're 48.27 inches on the ridge. And that's, of course, where much, not all of the recharge to the basin comes from. What that does first, of course, is flow out of the creeks and canyons into the basin. As of this week, we measured totals. I'll read these off. In Senior Canyon at the Ladera Road Bridge, 16.52 CFS. Gridley had 11.86. McNell Creek, 0.03 CFS. Thatcher at 8.31 CFS. Reeves at 6.48. And Stewart at 0.51 CFS for a total inflow that we measure at those points of 43.7 cubic feet per second. And that sounds like quite a bit of water. And there's most certainly more coming into the basin. And some of those points are locations where there's certainly subsurface flow in the alluvium underneath the creek surface points. That's by contrast to the outflow from the basin as surface flow, which is a bit more accurate in that it's shallower there. There's very little subsurface flow at either of these locations. But in the creek that drains the western side of the basin, the city of Ojai area, that is, we've called it Montgomery Creek. It's also referred to as Fox Creek in some publications. That had a 3.64 CFS outflow. And the big one at San Antonio Creek proper, right at the basin boundary, outflow of 54.39 CFS for a total surface water outflow of 58.03 CFS this week. And that's some 15, almost 15 cubic feet per second higher than what we measure flowing into the basin. And of course, the delta is the error in measurement of some subsurface flow coming in that we're not quantifying in that metric, and the delta coming from excess pressurized water supercharged within the basin itself, either via the perch system or directly from the perch system. Many of the artesian wells that continue to flow throughout the basin, especially in the south and western portions of the basin. See them all over, and it's hard to avoid a puddle anywhere in Ojai right about now. So by comparison, what that does to the basin water levels, in the Key well, Elrod well, we're at about 44.5 feet below ground surface for our depth to water. And that is very close to the peak. We may still yet to have our peak. And part of it is because of that 43 plus CFS coming into the basin, continuing to drive up water levels with relatively low demand. Time will tell if we hit our peak on April 16th. And what's interesting is that 44.5 feet depth to water is still about 7 feet deeper than last year's peak. And we had it also at a very similar time of the year. Again, still much above normal for this day of year, where we had 37 and change feet to water in the Key well in early April 2023. What that means is that we've come up about 50 feet since the December nadir, and that puts the amount of storage within basin somewhere in the 98% range. We kind of have to shut it shy of 100% and even 99 because we did have some 7 feet shallower water levels last year. But that gives us around 78,400 acre feet within the basin. And then circling back to that 218 cubic feet per second, leaving the basin, leaving the Ventura River, upper Ventura watershed, which includes San Antonio Creek and others. You can think about that 58 CFS as about a quarter of what is flowing out of the entirety of the Ventura River watershed. So that's a good snapshot of what's going on, and look forward to being there in person soon and sharing the graphical side of this presentation.
Anyone have any questions for Jordan? All right, thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
I do have a question for Peter, Chair, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Interesting, my next door neighbor's got a little vineyard and he wants to go out and do some things. He says it's so soggy he can't even get out there. How long, Peter, do you think it's going to be before the farmers are going to need to start irrigating these oranges? Because we haven't had sun, we've had pretty mild weather, we haven't had any real heat. So are we looking at middle of May, end of May before they start irrigating?
I would say Emily knows this way better than I do.
Okay.
We need to fertilize, and in order to get fertilizer into the root zone, people are probably going to start irrigating next week. Do like a half irrigation. Most people fertigate by putting fertilizer through the irrigation system or use granular fertilizer, and some people got it on time for the last rain, but most people didn't. And now we're at half petal fall, so you'll see a little half bump and you'll sell some water. So,
That's good.
but
Yeah,
I assume soon, yeah,
No, go ahead.
definitely in May. Definitely we'll be irrigating. I don't think it's gonna rain significantly.
No, I hope not. I'm tired of this. Well, the one thing I thought, Jim Finch said the other day that root zone used to be 2-3 feet deep. Now it's like 15 inches. So it doesn't take very long before that dries out and you have to irrigate.
Yeah, the trees have, the foliage and the roots have grown in the last 2 years compared to, we really cut back on our irrigation. Some people, we were doing, 3/4, half irrigation cycles, and we were letting our trees die, and they die from the bottom and the top. And you dig a hole now and there's roots. It's every plant
Yeah.
has responded well. So it's nice. The trees are happy. I think we're going to have a big crop next year.
Good. Good.
I did hear that, I know this isn't LA, but LA got more rain this year than Seattle.
Yeah, it is weird. A lot of the storms went south of us too.
And it's been sunny in Ventura for the last 3 days at
I
9
know.
o'clock in the morning,
I
not in
know.
Ojai.
I know.
Weird. It feels opposite.
Okay, now's the time for public comments on items not on tonight's agenda. Is there any public that would like to make a comment? Anyone on Zoom that would like to make a comment? All right, hearing none, we're going to move to the consent agenda. That's the financial report for March and the minutes of the March 28th board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve or any questions?
I was absent, so I don't think I can give a motion or vote, right?
Yeah, I don't know that we have 3 people here that were. Financial statements, and we can. And approve the financial statements, and we'll let the minutes go to the next meeting.
I move we approve the financial statement.
Second.
And call the roll.
Director Ayala,
Yes.
Director Daddy,
Yes.
Director Thilke,
Yes.
Chair Hages.
Yes. Okay, the next item is the action items. This is process and criteria for administering water well registration and verification requests.
Ooh, look who came in.
Oh, we can approve those minutes now.
Well, now you can go back and approve the minutes.
Perfect timing.
Mm-hmm. For the record, Director Whitman has just been seated at the board, and so we're going to reconsider the minutes of March 28th. We didn't have a quorum.
Those look good to me.
Want to make a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve those minutes.
Have a second?
I second.
All right, call the roll.
Director Ayala?
Yes.
Director Daddy?
I wasn't here. Abstain.
Director Thilke?
Yes.
Chair Hages?
Yes. Okay. Now the action items. Process and criteria for administering water well registration and verification requests. Julia?
Yeah, so last month you saw some draft of the documents, and I had described how we really wanted to have a formal process so that applicants for a new or replacement well knew what their responsibilities were and their obligations in providing us with information, how we were going to evaluate their applications, as well as take into consideration the amount of staff and consultant time that those applications required to make a decision. So with Peter's help, the documents there are attached. You saw drafts of them last month. They haven't really changed for what's presented to you now. What I did include is the first attachment is the flow chart that I think helps people walk through the process so they know what they need to submit to us, the different forms that were prepared. There's the actual application that I've updated. We need to see a copy of their well permit application from the county. Obviously, it's not been approved yet, but we want to see the information they're providing to the county so that it matches what they're providing to us. There's an acknowledgement form that has a bunch of different criteria that they need to initial each one so that they know what the requirements are, that we're subject to SGMA, that they have to install meters and report and monitor. There's an indemnification agreement in the event that their well application is not approved, that the agency is not liable for that. And then there's a deposit and reimbursement agreement, again, so that we can take a $5,000 deposit is what we're asking for to cover my time, Cece's time, the attorney's time, and the consultant's time to evaluate each of the applications. And then we'll hold on to that, charge time to it, and if a refund is due at the end of the process, they'll get their money back. And that helps, again, just cover our expenses so it's not spread over everyone, that the agency gets funds from. I did speak with the county, and they, Jeff Dorrington was fine with having us be kind of the front-facing agency to require them to submit a report that describes or that evaluates well interference and ground subsidence. And those two items are kind of necessary in order for our consultants to do their evaluation for compliance with or to show that it's not inconsistent with the groundwater sustainability plan and won't decrease the likelihood of achieving the sustainability goal. So those requirements are also in the flow chart. They'll have to hire their own hydrogeologist and then provide the report to us. And then we'll take care of the groundwater sustainability plan part of it using Jordan and Dudek as our consultants. And then all that will come back to the board for a resolution and action item unless they're exempt, which we'll have to wait and see what kind of applications come in. I do have one that was submitted for 300 Longhorn Lane that the application showed 1.9 acre feet of proposed use, But as we dug into it a little bit more and did some detective work, realized that it would likely be more than that. And so it bumped them up into the category where they're not exempt and they'll have to go through this. So I am asking all applicants submit everything up front. And then if it's a quick, and if they meet the criteria for being exempt, they'll get their money back, most of it. But we still do have to process it, you know, and it takes some time. So I'm happy to answer any questions. If you've looked at any of the documents attached, I think they're pretty thorough. And I think it'll help us in the processing and it'll help the applicants as well.
Bob?
At the city, they have a schedule of fees. Do we have anything? I mean, we've got a 5,000 deposit. Do we say we charge this much for DUDAC and CARES this much? And
So we have, we established in, I think it's in the deposit and reimbursement agreement, an hourly rate for my services and for CC's. And then what I plan to do is I'll send the application and all the documentation that they provide to Jordan and or DUDAC as needed and get an actual proposal from them for them to tell me how much it's gonna be. And I'll share that with the applicant as well. Everything's transparent. They'll know how much the consultants are gonna charge, and if it's gonna be more than the deposit, then, you know, there's provisions in there that they'll need to provide additional deposit if needed. And then we'll keep a spreadsheet to show what we've been charging to, the time that CC and I take as well. And then on Peter's invoices, you know, that'll be delineated on his invoices that we get.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a similar question. Under item B, you said staff time. So is this document it'll be updated every year, or? Because, you know, it says shall be $150 an hour and staff rate shall be $50 an hour, but that could change.
It could change. I mean, that's it for the time being. Yeah, and I guess
Maybe
as
put a-
needed. We
Maybe
can add
put a
that.
date on the, I was just thinking dated, you know, April 2024, and then
Yes.
I assume we'll need to update it probably every year, depending on.
Yeah, it seems to me that if the staff rate's gonna change in the agreement, it might have to come back to the board to get the agreement approved, the revised agreement approved with the new rate in it.
Yeah.
The board, at this point in time, is just approving, you know, the documents that are attached to the packet and the quoted rates in the document.
We can certainly revisit that every year. That makes sense.
And we're subject to 218?
Not for this.
Okay.
What was the question? I
No,
didn't-
this isn't.
Subject to being
it's not
Prop
a-
218,
Oh,
not being
no.
able to charge above actual cost.
It's not a property-based fee that's being imposed. This is voluntary on the part of well applicants desiring to get a permit for their proposed well verified by the OBGMA. So it's not something that would apply across the board to all property owners. And therefore, no, I don't think Prop 218 comes into play.
Works for me.
Yeah, I think we ought to set the fees for your services and CC's in each budget year. That would be the best time to
That
do it.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept or adopt Resolution 24-2?
I so move.
Second?
Call the roll.
Director
Ayala?
Ayala,
Yes.
Director Daddy,
Yes.
Director Stelke,
Yes.
Director Whitman,
Yes.
Chair Aegis.
Yes. All right.
I'm new here.
Thanks for that. I know that was a lot of work to get all that together, so it's good we have it done.
Yeah.
The last one cost us quite a bit of money.
Yes, it did.
Hmm.
I don't want to be in that position again.
Yeah. Okay, the next item is Legislative Ad Hoc Committee update. Do you have anything?
We did not meet, the Legislative Ad hoc Committee did not meet. The May 2nd, there is a small GSA coalition meeting that I'll participate in by conference call. So based on that outcome, I'll reach out to the Legislative Committee and see if we want to have another meeting.
All right. And the next one is the Meter Compliance Ad hoc Committee. Jim is on that, and so am I. The only thing I have is that it would be helpful from now on that we get a report every month on the number of wells that have reported or the number that have not. You know, give us some idea of how many people are chronically not reporting, simply delinquent, and then how many are reporting regularly. So we have some idea of the magnitude of this problem.
Okay. Do you want them who have reported as of that quarter, the most recent quarter?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
We did look into how many we haven't received. We haven't received 140. So we've received about 40. I mean, it seems like a lot. It seems like every day I go to the
Just
post
from
office.
this first mailing
Yes.
of the first quarter of this year.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it'd just be helpful for us to keep our finger on what's going on.
That's the kind of report you'd like.
Yes.
Okay.
I had a suggestion. I've talked to Jim Finch quite a bit about this issue. And it seems like we haven't had an OBGMA public meeting. I know it's a pain in the neck. But it might be good to host a public meeting and talk about what OBGMA does for the well owners, especially in light of what's happening up in Tulare area. Just to tell the new well owners who we are and what we do. There's been a lot of changeover, kids of property owners who've moved back, and they might not pay attention to some thing that comes in the mail. Maybe their parents getting too old to deal with it. Just an update on who we are and what we do and why we do it. And, I think we're a really solid, good organization that people locally should support. And I think these new property owners don't know that. So
That's a good idea. I think we can do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, Emily. I appreciate that. Plus, we got some really cool new toys to share with some of the constituents. Loggers we use to the ultrasonic flow meters we have in our arsenal to check on these flow rates out of wells, things of that nature. I think the agency's in a position to really show that we've got some wings ready to spread.
I have. Go ahead.
Just informally, the people in the East End and Cedar Canyon, I talked to about the basin and wells in the basin. Everybody thinks there's still a moratorium on drilling. So there's a lot of information that's about 2 or 3 years old that hasn't been updated, at least for them.
yes.
What do you think is the best way to reach out to them? Do they all have a meeting somewhere that we could go to them instead of expecting them to come to us? I mean, any group.
Yeah, we could, you could think about using city council. Doing a presentation at the beginning of city council. I don't want to assume that there's more people watching that meeting than there are this one, but.
Depends on what's on your agenda.
But it might, I'd get the newspaper would at least be listening. We could do a press release too.
I think we need to get the growers, and I don't know that they're, East End is going to come to the city council meeting. I don't know the best place to have it, maybe Chaparral or somewhere more informal than here, but it's nice to have Jordan's slides. And I would send a postcard to all the well owners, or a letter, a flyer of some kind, and,
Yeah, let's work on it and
yeah,
come with some ideas.
let's get it
Like
done.
an open house.
Yeah. It could even be a party. We could say, hey,
Yeah.
the basin's
Yeah.
at 98% and the lake's full. Let's
Well, that's true.
let's
serving
celebrate,
water.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can learn something, and make sure you know how to fill out the OBGMA.
We'll have tutorials right
Yes.
there.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of information, maybe too much for one meeting, but I think I think the growers would like to make it be, you know, celebrate the fact that we have a plan, the state's not after us,
sure.
let's keep it that way, and
Is there a growers organization that meets?
there's the Pixie Growers Association and the Farm Bureau. We don't meet terribly regularly, but I know how to get some people to come.
Okay.
And I can
We have
prod,
to have food.
yeah, we can, I mean,
You think the Farm Bureau could help us out a little bit, organizing it?
I think some of the farmers might be able to kick something in to get it going.
Okay.
I think it's important. I think
Yes, I
it's
agree. That's
important
a good idea.
to everybody, that everybody pay in and be part of the,
And it'll be a lot more fun since the basin's full.
yeah, we should celebrate.
We should.
Yeah.
I like that idea. And the lake
Yeah.
is full. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I have,
And just to be clear, Emily, when you refer to Jordan's slides, you're talking about the kind we present, not the kind that cover the roads.
Correct.
So make sure
yes.
that people are coming to see those, not
No,
the,
I don't think
the
you caused
form-
those slides, but if you did, we have another discussion.
Conversation.
former, not the latter. Thank you.
No, you're a great presenter, Jordan, and a lot of growers that I've talked to have never seen you speak, and it kills me every time they say, I don't know who that is, and I don't know what you're talking about. And like, geez, it's our livelihood. We should all know your information. Yeah. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I have a thought, because a lot of the owners are new owners out there who don't even know who the owner is, and it's a management company. And to reach, and I don't think the owners know what they have even. So
Yeah.
I talked to a management company,
yes.
and then they might have someone on the ranch to fill out the reports, send it to the management company, and then they don't see it. It's just, I would love to get, someone from those properties, but I wouldn't, they live out of town, a lot of them. Maybe flyers to them.
Well, if you make it more of a social event, we might attract the owners and,
Yeah. Or the people that are working on the ranch.
yeah,
Which it seems we could, we should make the flyer or the invitation to the people that run the well, who turns on the well and who fills out the paperwork.
Do any of them go to the Chamber of Commerce events?
Not really.
No? Okay.
No.
They have one tonight, they won't be there.
Okay.
But they go to Aquaflow a lot. They got little water breaks a lot, and I think some publication and some posters. And Aquaflow.
Yeah,
would
that's
be
true.
great, 'cause
Yeah.
Even if they're not the owners, it's a person with a feet on the
that's
ground.
true.
That's a good idea.
They go there every week.
Aquaflow, Ace Hardware, the
Yep.
lumber company.
Right.
You could put up a flyer at all three of those and catch a lot of people.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll work on something.
Yeah.
That was a good idea. Thank you.
It's work, but I'm willing to help get
Okay.
people to come.
Okay.
We need a place.
Yeah.
I think here is too sort of government feeling for
Yeah.
some farmers.
Bennett had a meeting at Matilaha in the new cafeteria.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the cafeteria is pretty nice. Yeah.
People in there, so
Yeah.
what'd you say, Andy?
I'm not sure if it was that many, but they did, Atticus did mention that it was kind of generally available for public meetings, so I think that would be a good spot.
Yeah. Or Chaparral, I don't know what's going on.
We had one at the Women's Center one time.
Yep.
Parking.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
When you go out to Matilaha, you have a ton.
That's true.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at what is that? I can't see that far.
37.
3:37.
Is this a record?
Hello?
No, we've had shorter ones.
What? Elston, I am so